Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, Real Live with the Real Seekers of Money with your host, myself, Damon J. Brockenberry, the extraordinary, also known as Damon the Agent. Listen, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me today. As always, today is February 2026. Time flying, y'all. March is next week. And guess what else is next week? My birthday. Yes, my birthday is on Monday, March 2nd. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. But as always, I like to get into the wonderful world of real estate. So, what we're going to do is we're going to jump into this, and I want to talk to people about what's been going on a lot lately. For example, there's been a lot of fraud going on, you all, in a reference to rentals and also to people who are looking to buy. So, I wanted to talk about specifically housing fraud in the DMV, how buyers and renters are getting scammed, and how to protect yourself. Yes, how to protect yourself. Now, a couple of weeks ago, someone reached out to me because they were actually renting a home that they just started to rent the day after Christmas, December 26th. And they found out the first week in February that the house was actually going into foreclosure, which is like, whoa, major. And then come to find out that the house had been going into foreclosure going back since January of last year. So the house should have never been rented out at all. Now, rentals and everything, but there's also scam when it pertains to purchasing. Now, I want to hop into this. Now, how the scams work. Usually, what happens is scammers copy a real listing with Zillow or Redfin. I've actually had somebody call me on one of my listings that I was selling, and then they asked me, was it also being rented? This was a few years ago, and it wasn't, but people had it on Craigslist, and they was actually trying to, bogusly rent the property. Now, here's some things that I want you all to look out for that if you're ever trying to rent, that it comes up as a red flag. Number one, if you have never met the person in the landlord in person or actually spoken to them. Now, some landlords live out of state, but here's the thing: with technology today, you can do FaceTime, Zoom calls, or whatever. Listen, whenever someone also claims to be out of town, or they're on missionary work, or they're out of the country, these are flags. Whenever someone asks you to Cash App, Zelle, give them a security deposit up front, and you haven't even seen the property, red flag. If people also try to get you to pay application fees before seeing the property, red flag. Now, someone last week sent me a property, and it was actually in Glendale, Maryland, and they had it for rent for like $1,800, $1,850, and it was actually $1 million home for sale. But here's the thing: it was a major red flag. Numerous things. For one, it was a huge house that was $1 million home. They were only advertising for $1,850 for rent. Two, this was actually a model home when I looked into the investigation of it. It was a model home of a new construction development. And three, the person who was advertising it did not even work for the company that was listing the house for sale. But yet, whenever you wanted to see this property, they wanted people to pay a $61 application fee. And they said, if you don't like it, you'll get your money back. No, that's people making money, because what tends to happen in situations like that, you pay an application fee, and then they tell you the property is no longer available, and they're not giving you your money back. Please be mindful of sending money before you ever visit a property, okay? And before you ever speak to the actual landlord or actually see them, because these are red flags. They won't meet you in person, if they won't show you the property, if they say do a drive-by, red flags. Now, here's some other things that I want you to understand. Buyer wire fraud. Now, when people are looking to purchase property, they go under contract, people see the status change. And when they do this, somehow, some way, sometimes they get the buyer's information. Okay. Now, I don't know where they get the buyer's information from, but here's the thing: buyers will tend to get fake emails from bogus title companies. that would try to tell them they have updated wiring instructions and try to get them to wire money to the bogus email. Be mindful of this. Always speak directly with the title company when you're talking about money. When you're talking about money, you can't play because there's nothing funny, especially if you lose it. And when they get your money, they're gone and you cannot get that money back. But here's the thing. Always verbally confirm wire instructions with the title company, with someone that you verify. If you got under contract with an agent, speak with your agent, make sure that the title company is legit, that person is legit and everything, because you can never trust emails these days, especially when they want you to upload things, click on things of that nature. You can't do that. Now, here's another thing that's popping up when it pertains to housing fraud, land fraud. There's a lot of that going on. I currently have a land under contract in Montgomery County, but the way that I got the listing was bogus and fraud. Now, these areas are hitting Prince George's County, Baltimore County, vacant lots a lot. But let me explain how I got it. Someone reached out to me via my email. It was a seller. I actually spoke with this person. Okay, I spoke with this person. They told me they wanted to sell it, but they wanted me to list it relatively low. And I asked them, well, why do you want to list it so low, extremely low for the area? And they explained they wanted a quick sale. Another red flag. Okay, what ended up happening is the original owner ended up contacting me. Then when I gave them the number and I called the people back, you understand, they hung up the phone on me. They sent text messages and everything. But you have to be mindful. Scammer found vacant property lot, poses as owner like they did, and they wanted to sell fast and put it on a contract to take the proceeds. Owners should monitor property records, use title monitoring service, lockdown identity. Now, why all of this matters financially? Because you can build wealth in real estate, but if you don't protect it, it can disappear overnight. And here's the thing, like I mentioned, when it pertains to renting, because there are a lot of people who tend to rent because unfortunately their credit is not in the place, or they feel like properties are too high and they can't afford the monthly mortgage payment. I did a segment a couple of weeks ago explaining why buying is better than renting. There's so much bogusness that goes on. And even when you're renting a property that's owned by a legitimate homeowner, there's the possibility that that homeowner can sometimes not take your payments and apply it to the mortgage and can cause that house to go into foreclosure. And you don't know. Sometimes with landlords being out of state, nowhere where they're accessible to, it puts people in a catch-22. Now, here's the thing. You have to do your due diligence, whether you're renting or buying. If you're using a real estate professional, make sure that the real estate professional are doing their due diligence for you as well. Because here's the thing, though. Like I mentioned before, once the money is gone, it's gone. You have to understand this is happening everywhere, especially in the DMV. Certain targeted areas are Suitland, Capitol Heights, DC, Alexandria. Now, before you send money, before you wire funds, before you sign anything, always call a professional. Because I know with all the information that we have today, people feel like with Zillow, HGTV, Redfin, they think they know everything, but be truthful, they don't. They don't know everything. You don't know everything that you know. There's so much information as real estate professional that we know that you all don't know. It might seem like you know a lot, but even with HGTV, the way that they make things seem on there makes it seem easy, legit, and quick. It's not. I saw an episode one time where they were showing properties in DC. They went through the whole process. They did a contract. And I said, that's nothing like it is. Even a contract was like one piece of paper with they signed. Not. That's what they're showing you. You understand? And they got to do it compounding in a certain amount of time. Understand, protect your property, protect your credit, protect your wealth, protect your future, okay? Protect your future in the form of real estate. And I just want people to understand that there are frauds going on when it pertains to renting and buying. And you have to be mindful of these things because nowadays people always want you to click on something. They're always sending stuff. They're bogus with technology. People can pose as whatever. Even with AI today, it's getting a little scary out there and stuff because sometimes you don't know what's real and what's fake when it pertains to the wonderful world of real estate. So let me go back and be back with my house of the week. All right. And in the beginning, I forgot to ask, please make sure that if you're not following me, to follow me on, to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, Threads, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. And it's always hashtag Damon the Agent. All right, you all. Today, house of the week is a house in, hold on for 1 second. It's in DC. This house is a lovely 4-bedroom, 4.5 bath, 4-level house in DC. It is completely renovated. Perfect. And it has 2-car driveway, convenient to everything, right walking distance to the Maryland DC Live, not too far from the metro. Listen, perfect location if you want to be in the city of DC. Check this out right now. The property address is 2814 Rhode Island Avenue Northeast. Again, you have a gourmet kitchen. You have hardwood floors throughout. And again, like I said, this is 4 bedrooms, 4.5 bath. You have 2 master suite. The main master suite is up on the top level, but you do have another master suite on the, the 3rd level. Look at this. This is perfect for a family in DC who wants space, who wants convenience, who wants location. This is perfect. Inquire within if this home appeals to you. Like I said, DC, 2814 Rhode Island Avenue, 4 bedrooms, 4.5 baths, 4 levels, 2-car garage. This could be yours or someone you know. This could be a family member. And then here's the thing. When people are merging today, with families merging today, when they're trying to have in-law suites and things of that nature, this would be perfect for a family to come together and build wealth, you all. Perfectly build wealth. So that's the house of the week. Now I'm going to get into my Q&A, which is my questions and answers. And I got some good questions. And if you all always have any questions, please reach out to me with all of your questions so I can answer them to everyone out there. You'll be surprised. So many people have similar questions, but people can't reach out. But please make sure that I receive your questions. And I appreciate all my participants who send me questions every week. All right. The first question is, what is a no reserve auction? What is a no reserve auction? A no reserve auction means the property sells to the highest bidder, no matter the price. There is no minimum floor price, meaning a lot of times you see auctions have a starting bid. It's no minimum. So when you have a no reserve auction, this means you go in there, we're going to start the bid off. Who wants to make an offer? That's how it starts off. There's no minimum floor. Like with some, they might say the starting bid starts at $50,000. That's just an example. Now, with the no reserve auction, it's kind of risky because the seller takes market risk, meaning a lot of times, it's like a sight unseen. You bidding on a property you really haven't seen. You don't know what the cost is going to be, what's going on with the property. Buyers get a deal often used for distress or time-sensitive sales. These are investor auctions, foreclosure, estate liquidation. In Maryland and DC, foreclosed auctions are often conducted by trustees, and many are effectively no reserve. Question number 2. Do banks do repairs on foreclosed homes? Do banks do repairs on foreclosure homes? Does the bank do repairs on foreclosure homes? Now, the typical answer is no. The reason being is most banks sell properties as is. They're not going to do anything unless it's something major like mold. If it's something major like mold, they may do some remediation. But besides that, you can have the roof collapsing in. You can have, utilities may be turned off. Inspections are still allowed though, and the inspections are always for the buyer's information purposes only. Banks will do minor things again, like remove trash, winterize plumbing, do minor repairs, secure broken windows and doors. They are not renovating the property for a buyer because the banks is trying to liquidate, not upgrade, and they're trying to make as much profit as they can on a property that they have not seen. So no, they usually don't do repairs on foreclosed property. Question number 3. Questions buyers should ask themselves before purchasing. Questions buyers should ask themselves before purchasing. This is a great one. And I always like to tell people, because people see houses and they always want to get a house. They want to get a house. They want to get a house. There are some things that buyers should always ask themselves. And financially, buyers should always ask themselves, can they afford the monthly payment and the maintenance? Because unlike when you're rent and you have a landlord or janitor or maintenance to come and fix things, you are solely responsible for everything. Also ask yourself, do I have emergency reserves just in case something happens? Whether your property taxes go up, whether your HVAC goes out. Now, here's the thing. You can get some of those things covered when it pertains to HVAC, plumbing, and stuff if you have a good home warranty. All right. But you should also ask yourself, are you staying in a property 3 to 5 years? Because if you are, then you're most likely going to build wealth. Also, are you buying this property because you're ready or because you're feeling pressure? Meaning there are some grown kids who still at home with their parents, and the parents say, you need to get out. You should have been gone a long time ago. Go buy a house. But you, as a person who's probably never rented a property before, or rented your own apartment before, I'll probably question yourself, might feel pressure. Now, if you're feeling pressure, I wouldn't suggest you to buy a home. I don't care who you're feeling pressure about, whether it's your parents, whether it's the new construction that you walk in who tell you, oh, you need to get this house because they're moving quick. And if you don't get, you know what I'm saying? They make it seem like that you're not going to ever be able to buy a home. A lot of new construction places do that. There are some that don't, but there are some that do. They make it seem like this the last one, you're getting the best deal and you'll never get anything better. That's a pressure sales. Don't buy it. You need to also ask yourself certain questions when it pertains to buying a house. Is this a starter home, or is this for long term? Or is this a rental property? You have to ask yourself these questions. And then you have to ask, does it fit my future plans? Meaning some people buy homes, they know it's not their forever home. They know this is a nice home. I want to live here for a few years. I'm going to rent it out. This is not my forever home. They don't see themselves living in. To also ask yourself the question, am I buying for appreciation or stability? These are some great questions to ask yourself when it pertains to buying a home. And then, are you comfortable with being responsible for everything that breaks? Like I mentioned, if something goes wrong in the home, as the homeowner, you are responsible for it. Now, there are some ways to get around that and to make it easier, just like I mentioned when it pertains to a home warranty. But these are certain things that you can be educated about. Now, buying a home is not just a financial decision; it's a lifestyle decision. And the reason being is depends on what area you move to. It depends on what you got going on in your life. It's a lifestyle decision because some people buy homes with pools. Some people buy homes just to be, isolated away. And then inside their home is their castle and they have it, fixed up the way that they want. Question number 4. How long does it take to build equity? How long does it take to build equity? Great question. Now, equity grows in 2 ways. Appreciation through market growth. That's like, for example, over time, like what's the percentage? Like in the DMV over the past couple of years, the average percentage is 3 to 8% per year. That's how it's been. So let's just use 5 to have a solid number. Over, like I mentioned, if you plan on being in a house 3 to 5 years, if you're there for 5 years and it grows at 5% each year, that means 25% of what you pay for it, and then you have to minus the interest on it. So most likely you've gained equity that way. Number 2 is your loan pay down. This is meaning when you're paying every month on your mortgage, unlike when you're renting, that your money is just going to the rent or landlord, whomever. When you own a home, you begin to pay down on your interest first, and then your principal. Most of your payment goes to interest. Equity builds slowly at first. Around years 5 to 7, principal reduction becomes more noticeable. Most homeowners see meaningful equity growth around 3 to 5 years minimum, but strong markets can accelerate that. Question number 5. What's the penalty if a seller backs What's the penalty if a seller backs out after signing a contract? What's the penalty seller backs out after signing a contract? This is a great question because this does happen, you all. Sometimes sellers get cold feet, they change their mind and everything. But here's the thing. Once they sign that contract is legally binding. A seller just can't back out because they feel some type of way. They have to make sure, like when they put their house on the market, they need to be sure. When a contract comes in, and they need to be sure because they put buyers in predicament. If a seller refuses to close, the buyers can sue for specific performance, force the seller to sell. Even though that's their house, you knew before you put your house on the market and before you signed that contract whether or not. You can't play with people's emotions, time, or their money. And then you can also sue for damages, inspection costs, appraisal costs, temporary housing, lost opportunity because you could have got a buyer could have got something else. And then sometimes buyers have to, if they're renting, they may say, oh, I'm gonna give my 60-day, 30-day notice, and then they get close to settlement, and then seller say, oh, I don't want to. No, you can sue for all of that. And then you can also negotiate a cancellation fee. In Maryland, DC, specific performance is very real. Courts often side with buyers when contract terms are clear. And that's what some sellers don't understand. Once you sign that contract, it says on the front page, legally binding contract. It emphasizes that to let you know that you can and will be sued. And trust and believe that every form that you see when it pertains to a real estate contract, addendums, and everything, the reason why you see all of these forms is because somebody somewhere at some point in time sued somebody. So unless you don't want to be sued, you need to go through what you sign. Sellers can't just change their mind without potential consequences. They can. They can, y'all. So those are some great questions. I appreciate each and every one of your questions. I'll be back with my topic of the day. All right. Now, real quick, if you ain't following me on all social media platforms, please make sure that you are so that we can always be connected. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you all for watching my podcast each and every Friday at 12 noon. Like I also said on Monday, which is my birthday, March 2nd, next Friday, I will not be on. I normally celebrate the whole month of March, but next week, I'm taking some time off just to reflect on life in general. So here's my topic of the day. What's your financial future? The reason why I ask this question is because I see so many people in this turmoil. Recently, within the past couple of weeks, I've noticed 3 people who just died. And I'm saying people die every day, just like people are born every day. But when the people are dying, I still see people who are doing the GoFundMe's. I still see people who are doing well and don't need to GoFundMe. But here's the thing. It made me reflect on when Nipsey Hussle passed away and Kobe Bryant passed away. They had things set and put in place for their financial future. And then I also started thinking, like, I'm in a field, not just real estate, but I hold a life insurance license as well, too, in which we don't just deal with life insurance. We deal with financial planning and financial protection. And then I started to wonder, like, okay, so the more I learn on the financial side, that regular everyday people such as yourself who spend money regularly, put money into your 401ks, people who are doing these things, it made me wonder because I also see how people money is growing depending on where your money is at. People money grows. The same money people got sitting in their bank account, the same money people got sitting in their 401k. And I'm not just talking about that, but it made me think, like, what is people's financial future like? When people pass away, people always get, it's a whole lot that happens. You know what I'm saying? People get the fussing, cussing, pointing fingers, blaming, secrets come out from everywhere. all types of drama unfold. And then people get to talk about who's going to pay for this, who's going to pay for that. It's so much that goes on when people pass away. And nobody knows the time, day, or hour that they're going to pass away. People, these people who passed away, one of them, unfortunately, was a lady who worked in my real estate office. She had just had a birthday on February 12th, and she passed away on February 18th. She had just turned 48. Um, I say to say then, unfortunately, Brandy, who I work with in the financial world, her father passed away on just saw him Tuesday night. He was fine. He looked fine, healthy, talking, everything. He passed away Wednesday. I say this to say that so many of us go about life. We work so much to pay bills and stuff, but an injury or anything can set so many people back. The statistics show that over 67% of the country are living paycheck to paycheck. And that made me wonder because so many people, go around like they got it so good, even when they're doing well financially. But you fail to realize that if something happened to you or your family, who's going to take care of your family? What is your financial future? And the reason why I say is because I want people to think about this. If something happens to you tomorrow, whether you get injured or pass away, how's your family going to be taken care of? And let's say not even if nothing happens to you, if somebody in your family gets injured or pass away, how are you going to be taken care of? And at the same time, when you look at people like Nipsey Hussle and Kobe Bryant, who only place their money in certain investment, because don't get me wrong, there are a lot of professional athletes and musicians who are broke, who go broke. And it's because of the money stops coming in, but bad investments or no investments. So the most important thing on this earth that you will ever have is you. What do you have on you to insure? People put insurance on a car, they put insurance on their cell phone, but they don't put insurance on themselves. And you're the most important investment on this earth. So I want people to really think about their financial future because when it pertains to your future, your family future, some people are not in place. See, here's the thing: GoFundMe, the government, Uncle Sam are not going to tell you what to do with your money because if something happened to you, they taking your money. That's how GoFundMe get paid. Uncle Sam, he taking your money. There's so much money that's out there that people don't claim Uncle Sam takes. I say this to say that if you don't start to plan your future, because you don't have to be rich to put yourself in a better position 3, 5 years from now. Not even that long sometimes. Just depend on you. So many people work for the government and they feel like, oh, I got a good government job. But you all found out last year the government can get rid of you and you have no job security. So many people say, oh, I got money in my 401k. Fail to realize if the market crashed tomorrow, a lot of your money is going down. You know what I'm saying? What do you have to protect you against your money that you've already saved up? See, people don't think about the worst. They just enjoy what's going on when it's good. And the best time to put yourself in a better financial future is when you don't need it. Because unfortunately, all of us at some point in time have needed money and have not had it. I don't care who you are, where you are, what's your pay level, how much money you earn. I say this all to say, you all, prepare yourself because the shift is happening and it's going to happen. And there's a lot going on in this country right now. So, what does your financial future look like? I say all that to say, please, please, please try to start strategizing. If you need some help strategizing, please reach out to me. If you don't, please just put yourself in a better position because when people pass away, sometimes it's hard for families to get the money to even bury you. Sometimes it's hard for people to continue on with their life without you. If you love your family so much, please try to put them in a better position. Please try to do right by them and vice versa. Hopefully they do right by you. So I just want you to think about your financial future and to prepare yourself, y'all. In the next 3 to 5 years, try to put yourself in a better, and you can do it with the money that you make. You don't have to be rich. There's no get rich quick scheme. But unfortunately, people say, oh, you know what? I'd rather try my luck with the lottery. I'd rather go to the casino and give them all my money. Then when you talk to people, they always say, yeah, I won $1,000, but I gave $1,000 back. Yeah, that never made sense to me. You understand? That's just me. It never made sense to me. You won 1,000, but you gave $1,000 back. So how much did you walk out and lose then? Yeah. What did you really lose with? But people are comfortable with giving their money to the casinos and playing lottery every single day. but they're not comfortable with investing in themselves for less. Make it make sense. And I'm trying to help you to make it make sense. But if you don't want to hear me, hey, you grown, you can do whatever you want. But see, here's the thing. When you see others out there living a certain lifestyle that you know or feel that you deserve, guess what? You could have put yourself in a position to do so as well. The problem is everybody wants to be rich, but don't nobody want to do the things to make themselves rich. Everybody feels like they're entitled to certain things. If you were really entitled to certain things, you would have certain things. So therefore, some of you are just actually delusional. Okay. I'm going to call a spade, but I'm not even going to get into that. So again, what's your financial future? Prepare yourself now so you're not disappointed later. All of us need to work on things. I'm working on things myself. I'm dealing with taxes. I'm dealing with this. I'm dealing with that. I'm dealing with stuff myself to put myself in a better position. And I'm trying to bring you all along the way. Please come with me. I would appreciate it. Come with me. What's your financial future? Only you know. But guess what? Only you can make the change for your future, especially your financial future. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Quick recap, and we're going to get out of here. All right, y'all. So quick recap. Now, I was talking about housing fraud in the DMV, rental frauds that's going on, buyer wire fraud that's going on that I want people to be aware of, and land fraud that's going on. Listen, there's so much going on out there, you have to be very diligent. Keep your third eye open. Work with known professionals that you really know. Not people that just pop up and claim to do this, Work with people that you really know, y'all. Stay focused. And I just talked about what's your financial future. Listen, we all control our future. Where we at today is a combination of our thoughts, moves, ideas, and stuff that we did in the past. That's why we are today. Put yourself in a better position tomorrow. You'll be happy that you did. And Monday is my birthday. So reach out, say hello. Next Friday, I won't be here. I thank you all. As always, let me take you out on my commercial.
We sure could use the money.
Time for some upgrades. We're pregnant.
Oh my goodness, I need to downsize.
We buy houses for cash as is.
Damon the Agent. A name you can trust.